Good morning, brand DIYers. It is Wednesday morning, and I want to talk about brand audits with you today. And it's kind of serendipity because this morning, very, very early, I was actually live with a brand DIYer talking about her brand audit. This is a person in India who is starting an app that is helping women who are moms find a place of peace and calm and tranquility in themselves. And we had a great time together on our live brand audit and came up with a whole bunch of findings and bits of wisdom together that I think are going to be extremely valuable here. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So if you are interested in doing a brand audit for your company, and any company can do it if you're starting up or you're established, there is a new tool, and you can either ask me about it or you can go to markstoiber.com, markstoiber.com /brand dash audit, BRAND dash audit. So take a look at that. And if that's something that interests you, I'd be happy to do it for you. And this is a free service, FREE. So take advantage of it. So let's get on to brand audits. I don't know about you, but when I hear the word audit, I start to get cold sweats because I'm an entrepreneur and I pay my taxes. And I always think of audits as strange financial things that happen to me because I did something wrong. A brand audit is not like that, although it does share some traits with a tax audit. That is, you get a chance to be very thorough, to see what you've been up to, and is it on the right track or is it on the wrong track. So a brand audit is an extremely useful thing to do every once in a while, maybe once a year for your brand. So what does a brand audit explore? A brand audit explores two things. First, is your brand consistent? And I find this extremely valuable, especially with brands that are established, because they usually have a whole bunch of different things that they're up to. But also, young brands, brands that are just out of the garage, because what can happen with a very young brand is that you can say, you know what, we're going to stand for this. And then a little bit later, you evolve because you've been getting word from investors or customers saying, you know, that thing you're offering could use a bit of a tweak. So you pivot a little bit. So your old stuff might still be up on the website. Your new stuff might be up on the website. And people are starting to see a disconnect. There can also be a disconnect between the way you face your audience, that is all your marketing materials, the way you face the folks that work inside, that is your employees, and the way that you see your customers through the funnel, through the journey. So consistency is one very, very important thing that a brand audit lays bare. If you're being inconsistent, that's bad, because when you're inconsistent, that means that people are going, this looks a bit schizophrenic. It looks a bit sloppy. I wonder if I buy a product from them or they work on my business, are they going to be just as sloppy? The second thing that a brand audit does, and this is extremely useful for young businesses, entrepreneurial business, it establishes your brand power, or it sort of takes a good look at your brand power. And it does this by comparing, one, what people are looking for versus what you're offering, so your consumer pain point versus your solution. Just as important, what your competitors are offering versus what you're offering. So is your product proposition, is your selling proposition unique? Is it valuable? Is it something that people are looking for? And most important, does it not replicate what your competitors are doing right now? So I mentioned just briefly, but a proper brand audit goes across three different areas. The first area is your internal brand. And I mentioned just a moment ago, that involves things like your employees, your stakeholders, how they perceive the brand. How does your brand communicate to them? Well, that's through things like your mission, your vision, your values, your story, all the things that you say and do with your employees that build an impression of what the brand is. So they go, yes, I like this company, I want to work for this company, or, I'm not quite sure about this company. Now, just as important is consistency between what your employees see and what the outside world sees. Because if you're painting a rosy picture for the outside world and treating your employees badly, what does that do for your employees? Not only does it make them not like you because you're not a nice person, not a nice brand, but it makes them think you're schizophrenic. You're treating outsiders differently than you treat the insiders. You're a hypocrite. Now, great example of this. I have a wonderful story. I was doing an executive workshop a while back, and we were talking about precisely this, the consistency of the brand between the internal audience and the external audience. And out of the back of the room, a woman CEO, and it is significant that she's a woman, a man probably wouldn't have said this, a woman CEO pipes up and she says, if you want to check brand consistency, check the toilet. And this room, predominantly male, they all turned around to her and said, what is she talking about? And it was true. It's not the toilet that your customers use when they walk in, because that's a nice toilet. That's your best foot forward. It's the toilet that's out back for the workers in the company. And everybody thought about that, and they realized that was probably one of the most significant things that represented the internal brand. How nice is your toilet for the employees? And all of them had a story. Most of them, not a good story. They said they would treat their customers special, but they would treat their employees not so special when it came to the washroom. So there you go. Internal audience, extremely important. First thing you have to pay attention to in the brand audit. How do you find out what the internal brand is? Simple. You ask. You ask employees, you ask the people who are working for you, or if that's a bit weird, because a lot of times employees can feel that speaking about the company is a career limiting move, you might ask somebody to do it for you. I do it for clients all the time. So you ask employees what they like, what they don't like, what they'd amplify, what they'd fix, and what they'd throw away. And then after that survey, you sort of do a scan and you look around at the signs of the internal brand inside the company. Now, this is not as obvious as seeing posters on the wall, mission statements. It could be, how much trash is laying around? What are the desks like? What are the computers like? What are the software systems like? Do they make it hard for employees? Do they make it easy for employees? Do they show appreciation for employees? Do they not? Do they enable employees to realize their potential, realize their creativity, or do they treat them like little cubicle trolls? So a lot of subtle signs paint a picture of the internal brand. Extremely important, especially when you contrast that with the external brand and the customer experience. So that's one element. Let's push that to the side, the internal brand. The second thing that you want to look at in a brand audit is the external brand. And this is the sum total of all the things that face your customers. Starting with the mother lode and the home base of every brand, which today is the website. What is at the top of the website and how is the argument made? What does the logo look like on the website? What are the colors on the website? Do the colors reflect the words? Are the colors tranquil but the words aggressive? Are the colors aggressive but the words tranquil? What kind of visuals does the brand use on the website? What kind of promises are made? What kind of offers are made on the website? If you click through on the website, and this goes into customer journey, is it hard or easy to buy stuff? Is it hard or easy to talk to a human? Think about that. That's just the website. Then you go to all the other tools. Social feed. How many social channels is the business on? Are you using your social channels the way they should be used? And I'm not sure if you've experienced this, but I certainly have time and again, where businesses will sign up for every social channel because they think that's the right thing to do, and they want to have all those little icons at the bottom of their emails and at the bottom of the website because they think it's cool. And only later on do you realize that they're actually not using any of the social channels because they don't give a crap about social media, or they use one social channel, in my case that is LinkedIn, and they ignore all the other social channels completely. So what does that do? You go to their Twitter feed, you see a post from last summer. You go to their Facebook page, you see a post from last summer. You see no interaction. You see social media is just a badge. It's not being social. So it's not the brand having a dialogue with customers. It's a little bit like the modern equivalent of leaving somebody standing in your showroom while you're having a snack behind the desk and not paying attention to them. How does that make them feel? Social media. Next, you go to all the shiny tools that the company may have accumulated over a bit of time that promised them that they would be more efficient. Outreach tools, for example, on LinkedIn. Are they using outreach tools? Are they sending messages to people on LinkedIn, hoping that the people will get back and say, I'll give you my business, and then they ignore them? This happens all the time. Again, showroom, customers waiting for help, you're sitting there eating a snack, ignoring them. Same thing. Then you go to all the conventional media. What are their videos, their commercials like? If they have a YouTube channel, are they showing videos? Are they good videos? And I'm not talking about visual quality here. I'm not talking about filming Avatar. I'm talking about videos that reflect what the brand stands for. Consistency. Videos that say this is worth looking at because it will help your business, and oh, by the way, this brand offers it. And then we go to conventional stuff. Are they taking out ads in community newspapers? Are they taking out ads in the New York Times? Are they running TV commercials? Are they, as many companies that I've worked with, running ads on radio? There's a there is a phenomenon out there today where media outlets will say, we will run $1,000 worth of ads on the radio for you, and we will write the radio ads for you. Beware, because this is just a sort of a cash grab where they bundle a bunch of products in order to sell you media space. The ads that they write are garbage. They do not reflect your brand. They reflect a formula that the company has devised. Here's 30 seconds. We say their name up front. We give the promise. We put a jingle in. We give them the phone number 3 times. Awful. That's something you want to look at the brand audit too. Have you been accumulating external media, print, posters, radio, TV, willy-nilly? Nothing hangs together. Take a look at that. You got to fix it. Finally, so we've talked about the internal brand. We've talked about the external brand. So the internal is what faces employees. External is what faces all your customers. And the most important, I believe, they're all important, but I believe the most important is the brand that is the customer experience. So you have now gotten somebody on your website to give you money. What's the first thing they see? The product? Okay. Is there anything that follows up after the product to make them think, this is a special company? You know what? When they said that they're passionate and compassionate, you know what? This is really neat. This little note that they sent me saying that they hope that this fuels my passion. It's super consistent with their brand. Or is your brand, like most of our brands, one of them that says nothing? You buy a product and then the brand follows up with crickets. There is no follow-up. What happens, and I have had personal experience with many huge brands where this is a problem. What happens when you have a question? What happens when you've got a problem? What happens if you want to figure out how to clean the widget or whatever you bought and you don't know if you should use dish soap? What happens? Is the brand there for you? Does it look like they give a crap? And does it reflect that promise they made on the website that we really care about you and your happiness? Or is it more typical, we've got your money, now go away? Now, the reason I said that I've experienced this personally with a lot of brands is if you take a look at brands like Google, for example, massive brand. Try to get a customer service call on Google. I defy you to get a customer service call. If you've bought a SaaS product, that is software as a service, these products are bits of software that you don't need to buy. You buy them on a subscription. Every month you pay a little bit of money and the product stays new, it stays fresh, it's updated all the time. The way that a lot of these all these SaaS companies make money is by getting the product out to as many people as possible and having as few questions or manpower problems as possible so that they don't have to pay people to solve problems. Now, I'm not making a blanket statement here. I've worked with some SaaS companies that pick up the phone on the first call, that answer the chat on the website on the first click within a couple of minutes. There's some awesome ones. However, the majority of us are not like that. I have worked with, or I've bought SaaS products and I've worked with SaaS companies who make a point of making it difficult to find a real human to make a complaint to. Instead, what they'll give you is a drop-down menu. Is this in pertaining to a billing issue? Is this in pertaining to customer service? Is this pertaining to this? And then you type in your problem and they give you a list of 10 most asked questions. And try to get a live human being on the phone once you've gone through the list of 10 most asked questions. Does this help? No. Fill in this form and maybe we'll get back to you. That is the customer experience brand. So to bring it all back, because we're running out of time here and I want to be respectful of your time, a brand audit. Extremely helpful to do a brand audit. It's not so much like an audit by the Internal Revenue Service, the tax folks, where you have to sweat it. But what it does, it provides a wonderful snapshot for you if you want to take a look and say, hey, have I been consistent and have I been positioning myself against the competition most effectively? Have I been saying things that the competition isn't saying that my customers appreciate? The places to do a brand audit, you want to start with the internal brand. That is what is facing the employees. And you want to survey your employees to find out what they think is good, what they think sucks, what could use improvement, what should be amplified, what should be chucked out. Then you want to look around the internal environment and see what that environment looks like. Does it look like the promise you make your customers? Or does it look really shabby? Does it look like you don't care when it's behind the wall? Second thing, you want to take a look at all your external marketing. And the biggest problem I usually see here, the challenge, is that companies try to do too much. They try to have all the social media badges on their website, whereas they maintain 0 of them, or maybe 1 of them. And so it looks like they're neglecting their customers. Is the website simple and easy to get through? Does it reflect the external marketing materials, the videos, the posters, the print, the radio ads? Are all of those things aligned, and are they all making a simple, powerful point that positions the brand as unique when compared to the competition? Finally, and I believe most importantly, the customer experience brand. When you have somebody's money, what do you do next? Do you ignore them, or do you treat them like a special friend so that they go, you know what, all those promises about these folks loving customers, it's actually true. Don't be like most of the brands that I work with, and my own brand sometimes, guilty as charged, that you want to help people, but somehow it just kind of takes second priority. That's something that we all could work on a little bit. So, and to close it off, if you are interested in a brand audit, no matter the size of your company, I just did one at 6 o'clock this morning with a company in India, and they are just basically in incubator stage. They are out of the garage. They are making money, but they haven't grown significantly. They don't have a whole lot of stuff they're doing yet. In a case like that, you don't have to worry so much about consistency as you do about the power of the brand. Okay, so if you're a small company, we can check on the power of the brand. Are you making the most powerful statement? Are you positioning yourself against the competition properly? Or if you're a bigger brand, you're post revenue, you're making good coin. A lot of times the big brands that I work with fall into the trap of trying too many things at the same time. So they neglect certain stuff, again, like social channels. So they look like they don't care. Or they buy radio ads from the local radio station that are completely inconsistent with the rest of the brand. All sorts of examples of this happening. And finally, the competitor experience or the consumer experience. There's a great reason to do that if you're a company. And yeah, we can take a look at all that. If you are interested in doing a brand audit, I have a free service right now. It's called a brand audit snapshot. And this means it is not the deep dive, the comprehensive brand audit, but it offers you an interesting short perspective on, are there trouble spots here? Is there stuff that should be investigated further? And you will find that at markstoiber.com/brand-audit. So check it out if you're interested in taking advantage of this free offer. And yeah, let's do a great brand audit and get your brand all streamlined and pointed in the right direction. Hope you have a terrific day. Let's go do some great marketing and branding.